G'day guys, and welcome back to Leila Central. My name's Clinton, your average modeler, and we are going a layout update for May and reflect and see how I've actually gone with April in regards to my schedule. Now, thanks for joining us, especially my new subscribers. Now, if you're watching this for the first time, feel free to hit that subscribe button and hit the like button. Feel free to comment on the video down below as well. All these bits of feedback and comments that you guys leave keeps me chugging along pretty much with the layout build, keeps me engaged, but also keeps you guys engaged as well. Now, taking a look at the actual schedule, if we take a look at what I had planned for actually April, it was to actually do the industry bench work and paint the cement plant windows. Now, if you've been following the channel, you would know that my last fortnight, I did put up a video regarding the cement plant windows, but also did some weathering with the powders, and it turned out quite well. Now, as for the industry bench work, let's go and actually take a look at that. Now, in my last layout update, which was about 4 weeks ago, I had the bench work started, and but yeah, let's go over and take a squiz at it, shall we? Okay, now we're looking at the industry bench work, or part of it, and it is in. I've got the framework in, I've got my baseboards in, and I've got my track underlay in. So taking a look, obviously, over here, you can see where the spur comes off for the actual branch. It'll curl around here and comes around into the cement plant itself. So around this area here, we're going to have a couple of turnouts where they're going to be a sweeping turnout. So we're looking at probably curved turnouts in the use there. We've got the factory over here with essentially a line. Now I'll move the camera shortly so you can see from a different angle. So the idea around this area here is the shunters will come in, they'll move some of the vans here, whether it be dropping off goods or materials down here or picking up materials over here. So one line but one entry as well, creating a bit of a shunting puzzle, which is what I'd like. Run around loop, as well as the loading, I don't know what you call this, just the loading line, I would say, for the actual tanks to be loaded with cement. And I've got this line that's essentially running around here. Now the idea is I'm going to put another turnout here and some more underlay, and this will come into, essentially, we'll move this bottle to what would be hopefully the shunters depot. So like a bit of a shed and a couple of shunters, bit of waste, materials, spare parts, all that fun stuff that comes with industries. So shunters will be based around here somewhere, where they come in here, zip over, fly around, and then move the trucks around as they actually need. So I'll reposition the camera at this cement plant so you can get another look. Okay, so now we're looking at it from a different angle. So here's this line that I was mentioning before, how it's going to come through and over to here, and essentially in this little part here we can see this line. I'll have a turnout here, which will then branch off into the shunters shed and depot sort of area right here. So that way there'll be a couple of tracks. Think of like a greasy, dirty, overgrown shed that's been not maintained at all. You know, it's going to be maybe a facility for, or a mess area for the actual shunters, or where some of the employees may get to. As we have a look at the lines here, as I mentioned, you know, we'll have our loading line right here where the cement trucks will come in here. So it'll most likely be press flow wagons. That's something I'll have a talk about in a much more future video, because I'm not sure yet if I'm going to go with models that are already made. I certainly love the Buckman models of the press flow wagons, but unfortunately they're very expensive per model, and I can't justify it, to be honest. I may go down the route of the Dapol press flow wagons, and they may be the pre-built ones, or they could be the kit-built ones. Like I said, I haven't really decided yet on that. But yeah, press flow wagons otherwise, so they'll be loading in here. This will be the runaround loop, and obviously we've got a bit of a head shunt occurring right here. So a nice lengthy head shunt goes from there. Runs around, and as I mentioned, there's only one line into what is a line right here. Now these buildings right here, so essentially we'll have like the concrete warehouse. So I mean, I don't know the proper names for these buildings though. You know, the kiln dryer here, etc. This will all these buildings here will be raised up onto a platform. So if you can imagine, right along this whole length of the line is going to be a platform edge, and the idea is, I want to give the impression that the line right here where it terminates, so right here, I want to give the impression that it looks like it used to connect up with the actual other line over here. Now, I may actually put that line in, but I like the idea of modelling this little patch here as, you know, you've got the ballast here, but there's no track or there's some bits of infrastructure left. So it has been changed or removed, leaving only the one entry and exit right here. So as you can think of at the moment, you know, this might be like one of the end buildings where you might have some pellets of cement bags and other materials, you know, parked around these areas. So there might be a couple of you know, vent vans sitting right here waiting to be loaded, but also, you know, down along here somewhere, you might have a couple of bits of goods of other wagons here for various different deliveries on what's going on. So when you think about having the different types of wagons, where they're coming or going with materials, plus the loading of this line here and the shunters moving around, the idea is I want a bit of a geometric puzzle around here. So I could spend ages just in this part of the layout, shunting things around. Now, I'll reposition the camera for this area again and we'll discuss a little bit more. So looking back to what would be the ends of the actual cement plant area. Now looking at, so this is the main head shunt here from what would be where the shunters come in from the depot. This will be the head shunt here from the press flow wagons as they get moved around from the loading line right around, etc. Now, this area here, I'm actually looking to, well, I've got a couple of ideas. One of the things that I want to do, particularly around this area here, is to give that concrete feel that some cement plants have, where the rails are exposed, but you can't see sleepers, there's no ballast shoulders. You know, it's just essentially smooth concrete right across. Now, I had considered doing it for the areas down here as well, but I thought, no, it's going to be too much. But we'll wait and see. But some of the idea is I want to have like a little bit of a road or something coming across here with a bit of an old crossing like thing here, crosses over and, you know, makes a way around to the other side. So it almost looks like if cars wish to come from over this back area here, or trucks, they can come around, go across the crossing and continue through what would be, if this was out more wider, would lead around to where the shunter's yard would actually be. Perhaps. So they've got to cross, you know, a bit of a deserted crossing like here, is essentially the thoughts. Obviously there's going to be here overgrown weeds, dirt, ballast, stones, you know, you name it. There's going to be a lot of stuff. And I've been doing my research at the moment on what is around these sorts of yards. And hopefully I can recreate it. Now, speaking of recreating, in a fortnight, my next video will be in regards to painting this cement silos right here. Now, these concrete silos were part of the kit, the Werther's Valley cement plant. Now, these, when assembled, have these big seams. Now, I'll actually zoom in here just so you can actually look a bit better. Now, when you glue these together, you've got them big, huge seams. Now, I've done my best to you know, glue them, but they were still present. So in preparation, I've been, essentially, as you can see here, using a little bit of hobby filler, smoothing it down, reapplying it, smoothing it down. And as you can see, I still do have a couple of marks, such as this one here. There's also a little bit of a minor one here as well. Some of them I'm going to leave, but some of them I'm going to patch up as well. Like this one here, to me, is still too obvious. If I can make it smaller, you know, a bit of concrete that's fallen off or chipped away from age will be the actual goal. And so at the moment, I've been doing a bit of prep work on the actual building because these seam lines in every corner, so, you know, you've got one here, one over the back over here, and one over here. To me, it's horribly ugly, and I didn't want to leave them in there. So at the moment, I've been filling those up. Been doing some work in regards to the preparation for the roof as well. So I've got various bits and pieces that I've been assembling, but keeping them separate so I can do my painting. And at this stage, the thoughts are on the actual silos themselves. They're going to be concrete silos, obviously, but I'm going to paint them to look like they have been painted, and the paint is peeling off the actual concrete itself. So if you can imagine, we're going to have a concrete surface to begin with, and all painted. Now, one of my tricks I hope to do in the video to show you guys is how to paint texture using paint. So there's no actual texture on it, but it looks like there is using paint techniques, etc. So hopefully that turns out quite well for you guys. So once I've done the actual concrete surface, then I'm going to go over the top of it and paint the surface to make it look like the paint has been peeling. So as I mentioned, that'll occur in a fortnight's time. So as I mentioned before, guys, here's some of the infrastructure that goes on top of the silo. So we've got pipes, we've got vents, we've got all sorts of bits and pieces here. So once these are painted along with the silos, they're going to look pretty good, I reckon, as a good feature. So there we have it. So now we've just moved the camera to the 3 main lines, which this turnout right here is for the branch line to the cement plant. Now, essentially, we've got a, I wouldn't call it a catch point, but, a little bit of a buffer right here. So, if any trains do decide to roll along unexpectedly, rather than going on the main line and causing an accident, they'll come through here and stop, just as they would in the real world. So just an example from this direction here. So it follows the main line. Now it isn't dead hard up against the main line, as you can see here. I've given it a bit of a distance. I've also used a different black foam surface as well, just to create that difference in the actual underlay as well, and indeed the ballast profile as well. So it doesn't sit as high up as the Woodland Scenics foam underlay. So giving it a slightly lower profile plus a bit of a distance from the main lines should give a good impression of a branch line spurring off. Now, as you can see here, it curls around to the areas and then into the cement plant from this direction here. Now, as you can see, I've given myself a lot of scenic opportunity, both right here and the other side of the line. So we're talking right around here in this area here. So what are my thoughts so far? Well, I've got a couple of ideas. One of the things I like to do is scenery. I want things to be realistic. I can put in more track work. Let's face it, even the cement plant over further, I've got the potential to add in a lot more track work if I want to, but I don't want to go overboard. Now, my thoughts along this branch line here is I'm going to create a bit of a scene, potentially in this area here, which is going to be an old brick kiln facility, which has been shut down. It's closed, been deserted. So the idea is, there's going to be the look of what used to be 2 tracks coming here and a bit of a station halt or a station platform right here, where employees in the past used to catch a train to work. They'd get off here, they'll climb up, say, a bit of a series of steps to an elevated grassy platform area where you'd have like some old school brick kilns. There's going to be an old brick building as well. All of it deserted, all of it abandoned, all of it gone. Just to give an indication that employees used to catch the train to work in this facility here. And the other thing is also with the station halt or platform right here as well, it's going to look like employees could drop off here and then walk across over to what is the cement plant as well. So the idea is this area here is going to look deserted. It's going to look, overgrown, but there's going to be infrastructure here on what was or what used to be here as well. So somewhere along the line, possibly here, I'm going to, again, do the simulation of like a ballast shoulder sticking out here and where a track used to actually be, to give the impression that 2 tracks used to come through here to a little station or hold for the employees to get to the surrounding abandoned areas. Okay, so by looking then at the actual board, I have completed the items that I targeted for April, being, adding the industry benchmark. That's all in. We've done the cement plant windows, and that's now all in. So we get all done and a gold star. Well, now when we look in actual May right here, my task has been to lay industry track work and the main line in a loop. Now the industry track work has been started, so I've put here, the industry underlay has been started or put in and started. So hopefully by between now and my next layout update, so in 4 weeks' time, I should have the industry track work in for the cement plant along with the branch line. Now, looking essentially at the main line in a loop, I did start that in April. Now, I haven't made any progress on that. I've just been tied up with a few things, and obviously Easter being in April being one of them, but I do plan and hope to get that main line put in. So for those that are interested in where I'm up to, we'll switch the camera right now. So here we are, guys. We're over at Brinklow at the moment with what will be the goods yard area at the moment. Now, the main loop that's already working is this one right here. And this is the inner loop that I've got my plan for May to actually get in and done. Now, I've started over at the the Fiddle Yard, made its way through Shilton, and it's made its way here to Brinklow. I would say 2/3 of the way there, and then just to put it in perspective, just going from, oops, sorry, just knocked the tripod, going from this double slip right here, single slip right here, all I've got to do is make my way around, back around, and over to here. So not a lot to do, it's just a single line. As we can see, as we look at Brinklow right now, we see through my new purchase as well, which is a beautiful model by Buckman, which I'll cover in a few minutes. Okay guys, so there we have it. So the main loop, inner loop over here has actually been started. So got just a single line going right through that I've got to install, as well as the finish the track work for the industry. So that it should get done. We'll wait and see. Now I have mentioned as well, now it is listed for June, but I do plan in a fortnight's time to get the next painting video up, which is painting the concrete silos. So if I get the painting video for the concrete silos done, but don't finish all the track work for May, I'm not going to be too concerned, because I'm going to move them, like switch them around really. And the idea in June, or between now and the end of June, is to have the entire cement buildings all finished, all painted as well. So we'll see how that goes. Now looking ahead, we've got the cement plant details and track painting. Add track details as well and stuff, Scenic Foundations. So when we talk about that, particularly with the track painting, I'm one of these people. I'm a painter. I like to model and paint things. So when I have a look at track, to me, I would classify that just as important as what the cement plant building will be. Now, obviously, when it comes to painting track, there's a fine line, in my opinion, between what's practical and what's not practical. But I do plan to invest a bit of time in my track painting and detailing, and that's all before ballast even goes in. So when we take a look at the ties, as well as the rails themselves, I'm going to have them painted. I'm going to have them looking pretty good well before ballast even goes in. So we'll wait and see what I actually do there. And obviously, before I do any further stuff, there's going to be a lot of track detail, point routing. I do plan to add signals as well. So there's all that sort of stuff that needs to go in. And as for the Scenic Foundations, I have a lot of extruded polystyrene around, both in my garage as well as in my shed here. Some of it's wall insulation, and some of it's stuff that I've kept from places that I've been, or even at home where I've had purchases that have come with the actual foam. So I've got a lot of it. I want to get rid of it, and the best way to get rid of it is start the Scenic Foundations. So when we talk about the Scenic Foundations, we're essentially going to be talking about this area right here, this area here, so part of the junction, and along the back over here as well. So now, as for this area right here, as well as what will be the shunter's yard right here, not entirely sure what I'm going to do here. We'll have to wait and see. I had actually thoughts of potentially having the branch line here continue spurring off here to another industry that I could use. But then I thought, is there going to be too much? Obviously I've got the potential to add in a lot of industry track work, as mentioned. So, you as my subscribers, I do value your feedback. I love people's opinions. Some of the feedback, the comments you guys give some inspiration and some thoughts as well. And let's face it, you guys might come up with an idea that I haven't thought of. So you might even say, you know what, you're better off putting your disused brick industry right here, but turn this area here into another shunting area as well. So, we've got options anyway. But either way, there's going to be scenery. It's not going to be overcrowded. It's going to look quite good. So the Scenic Foundations, the idea is this will be built up in these areas. There's going to be a bit of an embankment coming down here as well. And as I mentioned, a bit of a station halt right here where the employees can walk up and go from there. So Scenic Foundations there. Obviously, when it comes to the other Scenic Foundations, I wish to put in my big platform for the cement plant buildings over here. So it's all raised up, as I mentioned. So this is going to be one big gigantic loading platform. And we'll see how that actually goes. Excuse the bottle there, that's in the way, guys. One of the things I do need to do, which I haven't done yet, is I need to tidy up this layout room. Just looking at the bench work over here at Brinklow, it is a mess. I can run trains, there's no obstructions, but you know what? I don't like it. I'm not happy. I'm still building up my pile of junk down here, just so it's ease of use to get out of here, throw it in the skip and move it. You know, so there's a lot of offcuts, there's a lot of timber, there's a lot of bits and pieces around, and it's well overdue for a clean. So I may end up doing that sooner rather than later, but we'll wait and see. So apart from those details there, I haven't really done anything else, but I will show you some of the purchases that I've been up to, and obviously I do have some other items that I can share with you in this layout update. So one of the new things that have occurred this month, as well as I've made a new loco purchase, which is Buckman's Class G2A. Now, some people might know this as the Super D. Now, this is the pre-weathered factory finish on the actual model, and I'm quite happy with it. So looking at, you know, it's a 080 drive, so a bit of a different locomotive to your typical ones. You know, it's all weathered, late BR. She runs very good. Given her a good weathering. Sorry, I haven't given her any weathering at all. What am I talking about? You know, she's run well. I've given it a good run in as well. She comes with a lot of great detail, including sprung buffers as well, and essentially it rivets. I love my rivets, particularly on steam locos. So if you take a look at this here, I'll get it to focus if I can. You know, look at all that rivet detail. You know, that to me is amazing. Plus the handrails. She is a beautiful model, you know, even if it is grubby, to me, she is beautiful and very happy with it. So I do plan to enhance this a little bit more further. Definitely, of course, getting rid of the plastic coal. The coal load doesn't look too bad, given that it's just a moulded thing, but obviously I am not keeping that at all. Inside the cab, we've got some, you know, marvellous looking detail in there, from valves, gear, just all sorts of stuff there. So, you know, happy with the cab. It is definitely screaming out for some drivers, which, you know, in a future video, plan to do a painting on those and getting them fitted. But yeah, otherwise, no, very happy with the locomotive. Now, the idea behind this is I do have a prototypical photo of this, which I'll show right now. So that picture that I just shown you is of this locomotive going through Brinklow, and she's pulling essentially a freight train. Now, my plan is to recreate that same picture as best I can from prototypical to model form. So I've got my locomotive, I've got a couple of wagons and stuff, of course, but I'm going to build the train up a little bit. And then as time goes on in the future, when I've done the scenery for Brinklow, hopefully I can compare the two photos and go, hey, look at this. Here's the prototype, and here's what I come up with. And we'll see how we go there. Now, one of the other things that's occurred, now you might be looking at this little shit and go, why am I showing you this little basic thing? Well, I just wanted to show you guys, I've got a little girl, my daughter Leila, which the channel's named after. Now, she's been starting to get interested in some of the stuff that I'm actually doing from assembling and painting. Now, this was a good little kit that came from a wheels pack. There was 2 of them. And she put this together herself, you know, with a bit of guidance of myself. She got the hobby knife out and she smoothed it down. She got the sandpaper out, smoothed it down. She glued it together. She assembled this little hut. And I am very happy, and as a father, very proud of her achieving this. Now, she's only 8 years old. She's doing quite well. So in time, this will be painted by her as well, so I'm going to teach her how to do a bit of painting. She'll paint this herself, and it will be have a spot on the layout as well. So we may start to see some of her work creeping in on the layout as well. Now, one of the other things is worth noting is thanks to you guys and to my subscribers, I'm almost hitting 300 subscribers. Now, one thing that I'm going to be doing, which is not scheduled, but as a bit of a subscriber special, I plan to weather my Hornby Black 5 in true proper detail. You know, this is just the factory satin finish. it's a beautiful model, very lovely. I'm a big fan of it, and a lot of us do tend to get a little bit fearful in weathering these, whether it because lack of skill, lack of knowledge, concern around damaging any components so then it doesn't run as well, or even just ruining the finish altogether. So one thing I'm going to do is, once I hit my 300 subscribers, I will record a video on how to weather this, and there's a lot of detail, a lot of potential, whether it's the rivets around the tender to the main body itself. A lot of good stuff there, and I'll be using quite a few different techniques in that. So I'll be doing some weathering using both enamels, enamel paints, enamel washes. I'm going to be using acrylic paints. I'm going to be using pigments. I'm also going to be using some oil paints. So quite a few different products being used in the one thing to weather. So hopefully this will be an absolute star when she's done. Now, my period on where I'm modelling this, as you've noticed, all my locomotives are now late British rail. So I do plan to get some diesel. So I want this in the period where diesel and steam were transitioning over. So these steam locomotives, for example, are going to look dirty. They're going to look run down. They're going to look like they haven't been looked after. So hopefully I can do it justice and make it look the goods. And we'll see how that goes. So that'll be an upcoming video once I've hit 300 subscribers. So a big thanks to you guys. If you enjoy the videos, that's great. If you're commenting, that's great. The purpose of this channel is to document my layout progress with you guys and to meet and connect with like people alike, which I've met some fantastic people along the lines as well. So there we have it, guys. That's the layout update for Leila Central for May. So hopefully we can get this track work all put in. I'm very keen on getting the main line, second line going and getting that running and underway, and obviously the next painting video for the concrete silos. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Thanks for following, my new subscribers. Thanks for hitting that button. And as mentioned, once we hit 300 subscribers, there's going to be a very big weathering video out there on my Hornby Black 5 locomotive. So thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned and we'll keep in touch. Take care now. Bye.